Let's talk about medical school. We're talking about a high-stakes world of just immense pressure, sleepless nights, and really relentless competition. We expect our future doctors to be tough, right? To be unbreakable. We expect them to be resilient. But what if our entire idea of how to build that resilience has been totally wrong?
So, what do we even mean by resilience? Well, at its core, it's this: the ability to bounce back. It's the mental armor that helps students get through the insane demands of medical training. For the longest time, everyone just kind of assumed it was a personal thing, something you're either born with or you're not.
But it turns out that's only half the story. Not even. The constant focus on individual grit has left this massive piece of the puzzle just missing. And it's a piece that could change not just how we train our doctors, but the quality of the healthcare we all get.
To really get the solution, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of the problem. So let's step inside the medical school pressure cooker.
This is an environment that is known to drive incredibly high rates of psychological distress, stress, and burnout, often way more than in any other field. We're talking about a system that, yeah, it's designed to create brilliant doctors, but it also often puts students at huge mental health risks along the way.
And this growing crisis is exactly what pushed researchers to look for a better, more complete answer.
They started with one huge central question. If just telling students to toughen up isn't working, what are the actual evidence-based things that build resilience? And to find out, they didn't just run one little study. Oh no, they went big. And when I say big, I mean this big: 77,833. Let that number sink in. That's how many medical students were involved in the research they analyzed. This isn't just a handful of anecdotes. This is a mountain of data. And this chart just shows you how incredibly rigorous their whole process was. They started with almost 4,000 publications, and they systematically whittled them down to the 59 most crucial studies from all over the world, spanning a whole quarter of a century. This is one of the most comprehensive looks at this topic ever.
And what they found? Well, it pretty much changes everything. It turns out resilience isn't a solo act. It's a duet. The analysis showed this really clear framework. See, resilience is co-created by two different but totally interconnected forces. You've got factors related to the individual student, and then you have factors related to the institution itself. It's this dynamic system where both sides have to work together. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The two halves of the whole equation. On one side, you've got the individual, their personality, their home life, all that stuff. But on the other side, you've got the institution, the curriculum, the faculty, the entire learning environment. For way too long, we've put all the weight on the left side, but what the research is screaming is that the right side is just as important, if not more so.
So let's break this down a little more. On the individual side, yeah, you see things like a student's grades and what's going on in their personal life. And crucially, their health habits, sleep, exercise, those also play a huge role in either building up or tearing down their resilience.
But here it is. Here's the real game changer. Look at these institutional factors. We're talking about things like manageable academic workloads, having strong support from faculty, and creating a positive, non-judgmental place to learn. Even things you might not think of, like grading systems. They matter. One study found that pass-fail systems actually led to lower burnout. The key thing here is these are all things the institution can actively control and change.
So you see, this isn't just about diagnosing the problem. The research gives us a really clear roadmap for how to fix it. It's about building resilient institutions, not just hoping for resilient students. And the recommendations basically boil down to this four-step blueprint. First, schools should actually integrate resilience training, stuff like stress management, right into the curriculum. Second, they need to implement structured mentorship programs. Third, and this is so critical, they have to provide stigma-free, easy-to-access mental health services. And fourth, create wellness policies that actually protect students' free time and maybe even provide financial counseling. This is a real actionable plan for change.
Okay, so you might be thinking, this is all interesting, but why should this matter to me if I'm not in medical school? Well, because the well-being of a medical student today directly, and I mean directly, impacts the healthcare we all get tomorrow. This quote from the study really says it all. A student who's struggling with burnout is much more likely to become a doctor who's struggling with burnout. Fostering resilience isn't just some nice to have for students. It's an absolutely essential part of training competent, empathetic, and effective doctors. And that ultimately leads to better patient care for every single one of us.
And that really leaves us with a final, kind of provocative thought. For decades, right, we've been searching for breakthroughs in medicine and technology to improve our health. But what if one of the most powerful ways to create a better healthcare system has been overlooked this whole time? What if it all starts with finally recognizing that resilience is a shared responsibility, and that building better doctors actually starts with building better, more supportive medical schools?